What you're going to need: lights, table, perhaps a clipboard, and regular printer paper. Mechanical pencil preferably, but any will do, and a kneadable eraser. We'll be using my old 2012 illustration for a reference. Let's get started. Let's start off by roughly sketching a horizon line, which we'll use as a base to get a sense of where our character will be situated. Let's ease into the picture by lightly drawing a silhouette. A circle for the head and a pear shape for the body. We're not worried about proper anatomical structure right now. We just want to lay down an organic form to give us a better idea of where to go next. Here I add lines to signify the direction that I want the body of the character to be facing. In this case, I'm having him slightly facing my left. We want our marks to progressively get darker along the way. Now let's add the eyes, using the center line's assistance for equal spacing and proper proportioning. If you don't know how to draw something, a reference can help relieve some of the frustration. But here I'm basically reusing my old drawing and switching up his composition. My goal is to transfer the mood of the character, but I also want to keep most of its physical aspects as well. This includes giving him the same collared hoodie design, same gleam in his eye, you know, the minor details. I might end up changing his shoes though. Just a little bit. A real easy way to add movement to a drawing like this would be to draw accessories swinging around. For example, the drawstrings could be swaying when the body doesn't really have to be. You can notice that I'm starting to press just a bit harder. As we progress slowly, adding more and more lines, we'll start seeing a more defined character. Keep the pressure consistent from light to dark. We made it pretty easy for ourselves with the initial rough sketch. Let's focus on applying more weight in our line. At this point, we can start to get a better idea of how our proportioning can and will be changed. The initial sketch was just to help us in positioning our character. We're only halfway. But here's a side-by-side comparison with the old drawing. Naturally, the harder that I press, the more detailed the drawing seems to become. Keep in mind that the lead itself is of a 0.5mm thickness, but it can draw smaller. You'll notice me rotating my pencil constantly. This means I'm trying to find the sharpest point of my pencil. Sharp pencils are key. Applied with a heavy pressure, this will result in a darker, more defined line. It's that same immense pressure that's used to build diamonds. Don't quote me on that. I heard it in a TED Talk seminar that I saw on YouTube. Now from here, it's just a matter of darkening some of the many lines that we've placed onto the paper. Because our initial sketch was drawn fairly lightly, it's easy to erase them without having to fully redraw our heavier lines. Of course, this is if you want to have a clean drawing. Continuing this process would result in a much more refined sketch. I like leaving a majority of the lines I've put down on the paper untouched. I think it adds a bit of authenticity and demonstrates a small example of the process behind the illustration. At this stage, we're trying to envision proper proportioning. So I'll draw the darker lines with this in mind. Also, pay close attention to the anatomy of our character. What helps is we started off using basic shapes to get a sense of our anatomy and also our composition. The attire and all of the accessories should be the last thing we'll worry about, although it's no worry at all. Hatching has become somewhat second nature to me, so the easiest way for me to explain this part is hatch darker where shadows are likely to be, so pretty much where you think they should go. I want to keep it as close as I can to the old drawing, so I refer back to it for the small stuff, like these little white claw embroidered triangles on his cuffs. I was kind of at a loss for ideas on how to make fake claws, so I stuck to details in the cuffs and shoes. Now the old drawing was a little bit flat in that it had little dimension in the fabric of his onesie. So let's exaggerate a bit and add wrinkles on the clothes in this one. The rest of the depth will become more noticeable when we add in color. My intention is to make it seem like this guy's merely turning by keeping many of the old details the same. But even at this point, it isn't hard to tell which one was created after a bit of practice. Fire, go wild. Now we press even darker. Start getting rid of lines that we don't see fit, and also add in any that will help give it more depth. Hatching in the shadows at this point will give us a sense of where our shadows should be when we're coloring. Now you're going to want to find a light box. You don't necessarily have to spend money for one. You can use any box that emits light. A window, television screen, a square lamp, a regular lamp, a tablet, didn't know my dad's password, a desk drawer, and the light from a smartphone. Yeah, you can be pretty resourceful when you're cheap like me. Try to center the image on the new sheet of paper, so we have a centered final piece. Many people ask, for inking, I just use regular ballpoint pens. Bic is my main weapon of choice. They write smoothly and rarely build up ink bubbles. Now these pens I bought at Staples, hence the logo. Not very expensive at all, and they write just as smoothly. There is a difference though. The Staples pen is 0.7 millimeters, whereas the regular Bic pen is 1.0. So we're obviously going to be using the thinner pen to help us for the finer details. Actually, probably won't be using the Bic pen much at all. I find that copying it onto the inking page lightly with a pencil helps reveal any unproportioned parts. Think of it as a last-minute prep before we get into using an actual pen. Now this was drawn very lightly, so erasing the pencil won't be so hard. We also won't be using the light box anymore either, or window, or lamp, or whatever you use. There are also many ways of keeping the pages together for the inking process. You can use clips, tape. With tape, you'll have to be careful, but a clipboard seems to do it for me. A clear clipboard is like having a portable transparent desk, convenient for people who do a lot of inking. Now we have two copies, one which will be inked on directly. Won't be needing this one. Maybe. More last-minute corrections. Everything from here on out is just us tracing over our work, but carefully. I figured we could use the thicker Bic pen for the outline. Make sure there's no ink buildup on the tip. Keep some tissue around just in case. This is where I think your patience is tested, and also your dexterity. Here I'm making sure all of the ink is dry before I can get onto erasing the pencil. when the ink is dry, you want to make sure you get rid of any pencil marks that are left so you avoid any smudging. But you want to make sure there are no more pencil marks left before we get on to the next step. Phew. I made the assumption that you guys probably couldn't have watched another 20 minutes of me drawing, so I split the video into 2 parts. Now if you want, you can keep going, or you can take a break. I'd take a break. I hope that this was somewhat helpful to you guys and that you were able to take something of value from it. See, I don't really have a set standard way of approaching my art. There's just ways that I'm more used to compared to others. It's just me showing you a process that I've grown accustomed to. Also, all of the music that you heard in this video and in many of my videos are songs that are composed and created by me completely out of boredom. Let's check it out. Thank you.